If there's one movie that's synonymous with Halloween, it's Halloween, obviously. But if there's another movie that's synonymous with Halloween, it's also Halloween. But the 2007 version, which by sheer coincidence, we will be reviewing tonight on 31 Nights, 31 Frights. Let's jump right in with the lowdown, shall we? We shall. The film was released on August 31st, 2007. It is rated R, obviously, and has a runtime of about 1 hour, 49 minutes. The film was written and directed by Rob Zombie. It stars Dave Fark as a young Michael Myers and Tyler Mane as his grown-up, 9-foot-tall self. It also features Scout Taylor Compton as Laurie Strode, the fantastic Danielle Harris as Annie Brackett, and Brad Dourif as her dad, Sheriff Brackett. Michael Myers comes from a broken, terrible, white trash, Rob Zombie-style broken home. And apparently there is an orgy of evidence that he's going to turn out to be crazy. Yet his stripper mother just kind of brushes it off, promising that things will be better tomorrow if he just gets through tonight. Tonight, of course, being Halloween. But he does get through it by murdering his entire family and being committed to Smith's Grove Sanitarium for most of the second act, where his condition gradually deteriorates under the watchful eye of the hippie Sam Loomis. The third act of the film is basically a modern remake of John Carpenter's original Halloween. They use a lot of the same scares and a lot of the same story beats, except with more swearing and white trashiness as grown-up Michael Myers comes home to Haddonfield.
I'm sorry.
When I first saw this film, I really wasn't sure how I felt about it. And at the time, I thought that maybe that was a good thing. You know, it was so disturbing, I couldn't decide if I liked it or not. Repeated viewings over the years have made me realize that it's an okay movie. It's basically adult Michael Myers killing tons and tons of douchebags on his way home to see his sister Boo, Laurie Strode, as mentioned, played by Scout Taylor Compton. The film is shot in Zombie's familiar style. It's dirty, it's gritty, it's visceral, it's cluttered up, it's very messy, and it's full of graphic sex and nudity, tons of disturbing behavior, and a few swear words I actually had to look up myself. The film shows us why Michael grew into a killing machine, and it does a pretty good job of it for the most part. It basically creates its own interpretation of Michael Myers, one where we explore his background and all of the things he's done, and we see what led him to become this cold-blooded serial killer. Now, this isn't really necessary at all, since the shape of John Carpenter's original film was more than sufficiently scary when we didn't know anything about him. Too much information tends to remove the mystery, and that is definitely the case here. We see that Michael's home life is so horrible and wretched, we kind of want him to put the mask on and start taking people out. The story structure causes some problems here too. Now, typically in a film, you open up and follow a protagonist from near the very beginning. You get into their head, you become a part of their story arc, and that's who you follow throughout the film. It's your point of view character. In this, we spend 2 acts with Michael Myers as a child, getting into his head and seeing him gradually grow more distant and aloof from his family. The problem is, he's also getting more distant and aloof from us, from the viewers, from the people who want to relate to him in the process. That kind of robs us of our point of view character. Now, the third act introduces Laurie Strode, who we get the feeling we're supposed to be rooting for. She is now our point of view character. But Laurie doesn't really have an arc at all. except to simply survive the night. The change in who you're rooting for is very sudden and kind of arbitrary. It feels like Rob Zombie's Halloween would have gone off in a completely different direction from the original had he opted to carry the story to its logical conclusion instead of shoehorning John Carpenter's movie into the final act. Now, he remedied this to a point with his take on Halloween 2, and in particular with the director's cut of Halloween 2. But here, the shoehorned ending feels very, very awkward. Now, Brad Dourif as Sheriff Brackett and Danielle Harris as his daughter Annie were surprising and delightful. I am a huge Brad Dourif fan, if you couldn't tell from my enthusiastic reviews of the Chucky movies earlier this month. He really brings some class and gravitas to the role of Sheriff Brackett, who is mostly an otherwise forgettable character. I mean, can you name who played him in John Carpenter's original? No. So he does a great job becoming the small-town sheriff who is faced with the impossible. Likewise, Danielle Harris, who fans know played Jamie Lloyd, Michael's niece, in Halloween 4 and 5, returns to the series as Annie Brackett. She does a fantastic job with the role. I admit this was my favorite part of the film. Had a huge crush on her when I was her age, our age. Here we are, Gen Xers pushing into 40 in a couple of years. So I had a major crush on her, and I was very much looking forward to seeing her in this. And I'm pretty sure the rest of the fanboys of the country were in agreement with me. Danielle Harris surviving this movie as well was a really big thrill, and it was very exciting. Definitely didn't disappoint. The verdict. Is this one worth watching? If you go into it knowing that it's not meant to recreate the original faithfully, then yes. This is a vastly different film, and really, it's good in a lot of ways. I'll state up front, I'm not really a fan of Rob Zombie, not his music or his trailer trash film style or anything like that, but he does create a very compelling and interesting take on Michael Myers here. Even if it is a little lost by the end of the film due to him shoehorning the original ending in. What I like about this is that while the original Michael Myers was a formless shape, and we'll get into that when we do that Halloween review, Rob Zombie's Michael Myers was much more grounded in reality, so to speak. He is the kid down the street who looks like maybe there's something off about him, but you're not sure. That's what makes him more terrifying. The other Michael Myers, yeah, he could be hiding around any corner, but this kid could be the kid that lives 2 doors down from you and always wants to come over and pet your dog. So, a little creepy there. If you're a purist, stick with the original Halloween, by all means. But if you don't mind the alternate takes on familiar faces, you could do worse than watching this gory remake. Rob Zombie's Halloween gets 2 Grimms. That's it for this edition of 31 Nights, 31 Frights. Thanks for listening and watching. I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and checking out all of the other shows we have to offer here at Grimm's Scary Tales.